This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
There's a new book that just came out. If you've been following our page, you know about it. It's called Jihadi Psychopath by Dr. Jamie Glazov. I will tell you, as an expert on Sharia, as a former child bride who has suffered and faced my own jihadi psychopath, I want you to go and order this book on Amazon.com or go to jamieglazov.com. Get a copy for yourself. You know why? Because you need to be equipped with the knowledge to fight our enemies so you can save your daughters and your granddaughters from future of Islam. They don't have to face what I did. Go to Amazon.com and order your copy of Jihadi Psychopath by Dr. Jamie Glazov.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jamie Glazov Moment. Tonight, Tamika Mallory, Louis Farrakhan, and the Women's March. Ladies and gentlemen, as many of you know, the leaders of the Women's March have a certain anti-Semitism problem, a Jew-hating problem. Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour, Carmen Perez, all of them have their own very interesting and telling anti-Semitism problem for which they've been getting a pass for a very long time. That's because they're part of the left. And as we know, anti-Semitism is very strong within the leftist movement, within leftist ideology, and they've been getting a pass for it. Thank goodness, because of the strengthening of conservative voices, because of the empowerment of conservatives in terms of them fighting culture war better, there's more pressure now on the left. And so because of that, there are certain leftist forces and lefty groups that have been backing away from these three leaders and from the Women's March. So this Jew-hating pass that these leaders have received for a long time, it's not a go anymore. But what's very interesting, my friends, is what's being said about all of this and what, for instance, Tamika Mallory has been saying. And I wanted to focus in on that because it says a lot about the left, about the double standards in our culture, and about the hatred within the left. Tamika Mallory, the pressure that's been on her, even on The View the other day, for instance, she will not condemn Farrakhan. And she says very interesting and strange things, you know, like she doesn't agree with everything he says, but there's this and there's this. And she's been on a media tour, and I want to focus in on a few things she's been saying, because one of her themes is the good things that the Nation of Islam does. Okay, so there's Louis Farrakhan, but then there's the good things that the Nation of Islam does. And I credit this moment to Daniel Greenfield and his blog, The Point, at frontpagemag.com. It's a brilliant blog. He's a brilliant writer, and he's written just some wonderful work on this. And in his blog on this particular issue, he has written, now this is a great point, and I wanted to do a moment on it tonight. Greenfield says that the same argument wouldn't fly about the Ku Klux Klan or any other racist group. And he writes, quote unquote, yet we're supposed to buy the whole Mussolini made the trains run on time routine as long as it comes wrapped in the right racial garb. So in other words, you know, Greenfield's making a great point here, because when Mallory's saying, oh, well, the Nation of Islam, at least they did this. Can you imagine somebody saying that about the Ku Klux Klan? I'm not, you know, somebody saying, well, I'm not going to condemn the KKK, but, you know, they really helped the music industry in this town over here. And, you know, they really helped the economy in this particular sector of the city or something, et cetera, et cetera. That would never get a pass, and it shouldn't get a pass. Because the Ku Klux Klan is evil. Because that kind of white supremacy and that kind of racism is evil. It is wrong. It should be condemned, period. But yet, Tamika Mallory somewhere gets away with not condemning Farrakhan because he's kind of making the trains run on time in some particular way or another. Now, she's quoted in a recent interview. I'm going to read her quote. This is what Mallory says, quote, It does not make sense for me to throw away an organization like the Nation of Islam that has been very effective at reaching the hearts and minds of young black men, to turning them away from violence. She goes on, other people are obsessed with my relationship with Minister Farrakhan. I am obsessed with empowerment in the black community. So it's very interesting, the deflection here, the equivocation, the obfuscation, the throwing the dust in the eyes. Oh, people have this obsession with me and Louis Farrakhan. Well, I'm just wondering, what if somebody had a relationship with a Ku Klux Klan leader, or with Hitler, or with Mussolini, or with some mass murderer? So, but you know, she's just obsessed with empowerment in the black community. Well, Greenfield makes, again, very powerful points on here. So he points out how Tamika Mallory is portraying the Nation of Islam as turning young black men away from violence. And yet Greenfield points out legitimately that Farrakhan wants to see another kind of violence, and the Nation of Islam engages in other forms of violence. And so Greenfield comes up with a great quote in his blog on this. Quote, I'm not sure Malcolm X would agree on how effective the Nation of Islam is at turning young men away from violence. I wonder who killed Malcolm X. Could it have been the members of the Nation of Islam? Oh, wait. The Nation of Islam is turning black men away from violence. My friends, Tamika Mallory is refusing to condemn Louis Farrakhan because the Nation of Islam is doing great work like turning black men away from violence. But Farrakhan refers to Jews as termites. He has called Hitler a very great man. Now, could calling Jews termites and calling Hitler a very great man, could statements like that be violence in and of themselves? Could statements like that have led to violence in the past? Could they lead to violence in the future? Again, it's very telling what rules our society has. And with the left framing the boundaries of our discourse, it's very interesting that if you're a certain color and you're part of a certain ideology, then you somehow get a pass for making excuses for people that are enabling hate, enabling terror, enabling genocide against certain groups where it's somehow permitted and nothing really happens to you and there's not a huge outcry. This particular thing about Tamika Mallory and her refusal to condemn Farrakhan in terms of everything he is, in terms of everything he has said, in terms of what we know that the Nation of Islam is also engaged in and has been engaged in, including the murder of Malcolm X, all this enabling of Jew hatred and what that leads to throughout the world. This is, what words can we use for it? We could use the word disgusting, we could use the word grotesque, and there's a question here. Where is the outcry by Don Lemon, by Anderson Cooper, by Rachel Maddow? Why aren't they having, you know, a whole hour feature on this and invite some real prominent, you know, intelligent and truth-telling guests for once, instead of just talking about, you know, Trump and this Russian collusion day in and day out? Russian collusion, by the way, is in quotation marks. Again, very revealing about the left and its double standards and its hatred. My friends, go to Daniel Greenfield's blog, The Point, and just Google Tamika Mallory and Louis Farrakhan and Women's March, and you'll find it. The title of his blog is Women's March Leader. It does not make sense for me to throw away the Nation of Islam, quote unquote, and you'll be able to read his blog. My friends, my book, Jihadist Psychopath, is very much about this issue. It explores why there is this alliance between the left and Islamic supremacists. It explains why certain things can be said and not be said in our culture. And it's precisely about the media silence in terms of what Tamika Mallory is saying on her tour, and how she very much gets a pass and also a green light for the excuses that she makes for somebody like Louis Farrakhan. Get jihadist psychopath today and equip yourself with that knowledge of what's going on between the left and Islamic supremacism. Also, to all of you in the Los Angeles area, on February 6th, I'll be speaking at the Beverly Hills Hotel about my new book. Go to jamieglazov.com to register. Many people expect it to be an on-the-edge-of-your-seat thriller. It's going to be a riveting event. Please be there. And I'll see you soon on the Jamie Glazov Moment. Good night.